Joining me now on the show, India's ambassador to the UAE, Sunjay Sudhir. Many thanks, sir, for speaking with the NDTV. Ambassador Sudhir, what shall we expect from the visit in terms of trade and investment, considering that India and the UAE struck a trade deal in a record time not too long ago?
Thanks for having me on your show. And it's going to be a very historic visit tomorrow. This will be Prime Minister Modi's fifth visit to the UAE in the last 9 years. He was here last in June when he met His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. During the visit, the whole gamut of bilateral issues is likely to be discussed. But of course, there'll be a special focus on trade and investment relations. Trade, as you know, UAE is already our third largest trading partner, our second largest export destination. It's also the largest source of investment from the whole of the Arab world. And keeping all these things in mind and to give this economic relationship a further boost, CEPA was signed last year. We've just completed 1 year of implementation of CEPA and the results are really encouraging. Bilateral trade has shot up by about 19%. And for the last financial year, 22-23, bilateral trade actually stood at about $85 billion. You know, in comparison to other countries in the GCC, UAE accounts for 46% of our trade with the GCC and about 63% of our exports to the GCC. Investment relations are also very strong. Last year itself, UAE invested about $3.5 billion. And that makes it the fourth largest FDI source for India. This year, they've invested about $500 million in Lenskart and another $300 million in Cube Highways. Okay. Energy relationship, you know, is very strong. They are the fourth largest supplier of crude, second largest supplier of both LNG as well as LPG.
Right. Ambassador Sudhir, now UAE will be hosting COP28 later this year. Are there any specifics that could be discussed in the sphere of climate action ahead of the summit? Could India press for climate finance as one of the important aspects yet again?
We have been working very closely on climate action and COP28 related issues because it's a very good coincidence that India happens to be presiding over G20 this year and the UAE over COP28. And our effort is to develop some kind of a mutually supportive relationship between COP28 and G20 and also make sure that some of the issues of concern to the global south get factored in. And this includes clearly finding a solution on climate finance, something which has been promised for so many years, but nothing has happened. We also are giving very special focus on a fair and just energy transition and to focus on people's lives and livelihood. These are very important parts of the discussion between the two countries.
Okay. My final question to you, Ambassador Sudhir, in the Gulf region and the Muslim world, the UAE seems to have been the most forthcoming in the recent past. What is this closeness, this relationship really based on?
Well, it is a very special relationship between our two countries. You will recall that in 2017, when His Highness Sheikh Mohammed visited India as chief guest for our Republic Day celebrations, we also signed a comprehensive strategic partnership agreement. And last year, we signed a comprehensive economic partnership agreement. And the CEPA, as they call it, was the first CEPA ever for the UAE. It was India's first CEPA ever in the whole of the Middle East and the Gulf region. So it's a very special relationship. Last year in February, the leaders also unveiled a vision statement. And this vision statement is some kind of a roadmap for our relationship for the several years to come. So there is something very special about the relationship. I've already given you the numbers showing that UAE has a very, I would say, a very special place, whether it's our trade, investments, or even our people-to-people relationship. The largest Indian community, the largest Indian nationals anywhere in the world is actually in the UAE. And if you look at the whole of GCC statistics, about 40% of Indian nationals in the GCC are actually in this country. If you just go back in terms of investments, in March this year, the first India-UAE investment summit for J&K took place in Srinagar, hosted by the Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha. And so many of the top UAE companies were there, the big investors were there. In fact, announcement was made by MR Group to invest about 500 crores in a shopping mall and a multi-purpose tower in Srinagar. So it is a very special relationship. We have been working closely in the United Nations Security Council as well, where we overlapped for 1 year in 2022 in UNSC. So there was very close cooperation between the two countries. We have been working together on issues like counter-terrorism and other issues. So it is a special relationship.
Ambassador Sunjay Sudhir, many thanks for speaking with NDTV.